important because it's the only way you are going to be able to get rich and wealthy for your family. We can close the wealth gap by working together.
Market Monday is the biggest investment show ever.
My life has literally changed since watching EYL.
When you can make people money and you can add value, they're going to be forever indebted to you.
And I promise you this year, I'm going to make y'all even more money.
Disclaimer, do your own research. Our content is intended to be used and must be used for informational purposes only. It's very important to do your own analysis before making any investment based on your own personal circumstances. You should take independent financial advice from a professional in connection with, or independently research and verify any information that you find on our show and wish to rely upon, whether for the purpose of making an investment decision or otherwise. Let's build our knowledge, our community, and our brokerage accounts. Love is love.
Love is love.
Love is love. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday, y'all. How y'all feeling? Welcome back. Hope everybody is here, healthy, sane mind, open heart, all the things. Ian, how you feeling?
Amazing. Happy to be here. Amazing weekend. Y'all had an amazing weekend too. We're going to talk about it at some point. Troy Rashad, how you feeling? Great interview with Sean. Troy, can I get your Sean impression?
Now tell me who won the ashes to ashes, dust to dust, bang.
Shout out to Sean Paul, one of my favorites. Yo.
It's a new day in the rap game. Yeah, shout out to my brother Poe.
Yeah.
Yo, for Halloween, I was actually Sean Poe once for Halloween. I was really a
That's
fan.
tough.
I got my first car, and the first CD I put in there was a Sean CD because I wanted to hear Bad Boys on the speaker system, and that's when I realized that I ain't have one. It blew out the speakers. I was like, oh, okay. Shotty, how you feeling?
I'm good. Top of the top to everybody out there. Market Mondays. We back. We got a lot to talk about. We do have the brother 19 Keys is going to be joining us today. So, anytime we talk to Keys, that's a insightful conversation, high level conversation. So, it's a lot going on in the world. So we got to cover a lot. But first and foremost, I will say this. Congratulations on your anniversary yesterday.
Oh, appreciate it. Thank you. Shout out to everybody that showed some love.
That's incredible. Yep.
Yeah, man. We had a nice evening. We talked about it this morning, but I think it was one of our best date nights that we've had, maybe ever. The Moulin Rouge with Meg starring in it. She's a huge Meg Thee Stallion fan, and she did incredible. Then we had a nice spot. I'll tell you about the spot after this, because it's one that you should put on the list. But it was cool, man. Was able to park in a city, found parking, really? Didn't have to pay. It was weather was really good. It was a top tier, man. So appreciate the love. Thank y'all. For sure. So man, the pitch competition, you got a long way before you get that. We extended it to the 20th. So somebody said when they get confirmation is if they actually got accepted. You got a while. But they're going through all of the applications, but there has been extended. April 20th is the deadline. We did that. We opened up new slots. We opened up more slots for the pitch competition. So April 20th is the deadline for the pitch competition. InvestFest, go to investfest.com. Also, InvestFest, we announced this last week with Kendra G. There's a lot of love connections that happen at InvestFest. So for the first time ever, we are opening a singles lounge, but you must RSVP. It's only first 300 people. First come, first serve. If you have an InvestFest ticket, or you got to go to the InvestFest website and RSVP. Singles lounge. It will be during the day on one of the days in the weekend. It will be at lunch hour, so it won't interfere with any of the educational panels.
Brilliant.
And why not? Why not meet your significant other at a place like InvestFest? I mean, if you got to meet somebody.
People, yeah.
Exactly. You're all there to get better. Why not get better together? For sure.
Yeah, and an important tenet of wealth is the person. The most important decision you make is who you choose to be with. So I think it's a brilliant idea to allow people to meet who the love of their life could be. They can build a dream with. So job well done.
Thank you. Appreciate it, bro. Mike, quantum stocks are listed twice. They said quantum stocks are listed twice on the bottom. Also, I will say that this week is a big week for Market Mondays. We got Keys coming. We got Blackout. We got Dr. Yaki
coming on Blackout. Been looking forward to that conversation
Me
for a
too.
long time. You know, we've been talking about health for so long. So he's one of the
That's the right-
forefront
that's the
runners
guy. That's a
in
guy.
this health industry. Opened up a new facility, and we're gonna be asking him all of the questions, all the detox questions, all of the, you know, what you should be eating, how many times, like we, you know, all of the health. That's a health
full blueprint.
episode. Very important. That's a health episode. That's very important. And then Thursday, we got one of the smartest gentlemen that we ever interviewed, Julian Brown, the gentleman that actually turned plastic into fuel that you can use in your car. Extremely important conversation. We talk about that process. We talk about the process of patenting. We talk about a lot of science in that, as far as man, plastic. I ain't even gonna say it because I don't want to, but
Plastoline?
the whole recycle industry, according to him, is a scam. The whole
Allegedly.
recycling, yeah.
Allegedly.
That's why I said according to him.
Yeah.
According to him, the whole recycling industry is a scam.
With good reason.
It's destroying the earth. Man, he has so much insight. It's very, very, very important. That's a very important episode.
Yeah. It's I said this a few weeks ago when I said that Sinead Bovell's episode was one of the most important.
Mm-hmm.
This is of that caliber.
For sure.
Probably one of the most insightful, because I don't think Julian's been able to tell his story in depth the way he did with us. It was interesting, which made us feel like he wanted to do it because it was a place and two individuals that he trusted. So it's dope, man. When you talk about being a vessel in this world, right? You do things not for your own good, but for the greater good. He's a living embodiment of that. So y'all definitely gotta check that out.
So we got a lot. We got a jam-packed week. Okay, the brother Brock 1 Love 9510. Shoot me a DM, please. Okay, so yeah, jam-packed week for us. Jam-packed week. Non-stop education. You have an EYL University class this week?
I got my class this week, man. Thursday we are back. I got some surprises. I got a new position that I want to talk to the community about. Shout out to everybody that is in EYLU. We gave out a green jacket today, y'all.
Okay.
We gave out a green jacket today, y'all. Somebody hit 1,000%, which is really, really incredible. But yeah, we're gonna be cooking up. It's been a few weeks. The market has shifted. We talked about the S&P. We'll talk about it again tonight. Yeah, man, we got some stuff we got to unpack. So I'm looking forward to it. Make sure y'all there at 7:00 Thursday.
And yeah, the brother Julian, he said that he went missing. He definitely did go missing. And we talked about that.
Yeah.
We talked about that as well. So much stuff, man. We got a lot going on.
Yo, he went missing. You know the first place people saw him?
Where?
InvestFest. He made a reappearance. I was like, I turned. I was like, oh. He was like, hey, guys. I'm like,
you never know.
You never know, man.
You never know who you're going to see at InvestFest. Get your tickets. Ian, any announcements?
Yeah, tune into the episode Thursday. To me, I'll always give it a comparison. I think he is an art man. Like, if you know the innovation and how hard to pull off that technology that he did and the headwinds that he has to face in the industry that he's facing, I think for our generation, he's probably the most important entrepreneur and person that we got to protect the most. For sure. Stock Club call will be April 26th, 9 p.m. Central. I got a bunch of surprises. I have new targets for futures. I have a few new companies that I love. I have a few that I want to get rid of. So check for the link in Telegram or Kajabi. Also check me out at Black Effect Podcast Festival with John Hope Bryant, April 25th in Atlanta. So that would be a good one. Let's have an amazing show. If I made you money, please put yes in chat. And today's going to be
to the brother Lee 38. We actually talked about that. He said what he's doing has been around forever. Y'all should do more research. Well, that's actually insightful that you said that, because we actually talked about that in the episode. He never said he invented it. His goal is to take it to scale. Nobody's ever taken it to scale. But what have you done? You've done nothing.
But thank you for tuning into the show. And if I made you money, please put yes in chat. And if I have not, put a stock that you love in tonight, and I'll give you a price later tonight. Back to you, Troy Rashad.
Yes, sir.
Combination. You want to do both things, boy.
Man. What you want me to do, man? What you want me to do?
Good cop, bad cop, my boy.
They said leave your cousin in the house.
And also scaling and remaining in this dimension is a tall task. Who
this
cares if the
dimension.
technology was around? It's tough to innovate and create in this capitalistic society, given the competition that he has at Exxon, Chevron, Waste Management. Let's
Ooh.
protect the brother. Come on now.
Do yourself a favor, listen to the episode. He goes into detail about the story. He is very important. He's very knowledgeable, and he's done it. Now think about this: like those companies that you just named,
Mhm.
billion-dollar companies.
Billions.
You're talking
Right.
about somebody that's not getting funding. You're talking about somebody that's really bootstrapping technology that can change the world.
Can you
And
give
so that's
Rashad your hoodie so he can be in Shook Shotty? Love it.
Let's get it. Let's talk about the trading tip of the week. What is the trading tip of the week?
If we can pull the chart up real quick. For my traders, please write this down. The gap always fills with the predominant direction of the market. I put this in Stock Club. I won't tell too much, but the S&P had a deep dip on Sunday night, of course, because of all the stuff that's happening in Washington and Iran. And as a result, the market came down a bunch. It gapped down a ton last night. And a lot of people were hitting me. It was like, is this the start of the crash? And my answer is no. Please write this in chat. The market is permanently rigged to stay up. The market went from 68.53. It dropped to 66.67. By end of close today, we were at 69.27. So if you see those areas where we gap down,
Mike, bring it up. Bring the screen up. Bring the graphic up higher.
So we're looking. This is the Ian. We're looking at the S&P right here, right? So the green line, that was what moving average? Was that the 200?
Yeah, 200-day moving average. Okay. So you can see where we slid under, it gapped aggressively, and a gap is just when the price doesn't stair step down 1 point at a time. It was a wide gap. My phone started going off. Brent crude went up. Natural gas went up. Everyone is saying, oh, is this the start of the crash? I'm like, no. This is the start of an opportunity. And at the end of the day, not only did we recover from where we were Friday, but we ended up higher. Another trading tip I need you to know.
Are we bringing that up? I said bring it up higher, Mike, so they can see it.
If not, we can continue. Write this down though. Since World War II, the market has fallen more than 10%, the S&P, 48 times. This is the important part. 36 times it has rebounded within 2 months. Only 12 times it's led to a bear market. So when you're looking at an asset, you have to know what the predominant direction of that asset is. So the ES, Nasdaq, and Dow are predominantly up. The VIX is a predominantly downward-facing asset. So if the VIX gaps up, you want to look to short the future to make money on it. But if the ES gaps to the downside, you want to go long and take advantage of the move that way. So all gaps fill, but with the predominant direction that the asset faces. And if you ever see any disparity like this again, take advantage of it. To give you a comparison or analogy, this would be like the equivalent of a car that's $100,000 going on sale for $75,000, but it's on that price window is only available for 2 hours. That was the S&P last Sunday. Take advantage of it.
Yeah, and that was one of those things we spoke about last week. And let's see if it crosses that metric of getting over its 200-day EMA. It passed it, right? Even when we came into the market opening today, it was kind of, hey, we didn't reach the deal with Iran. Hey, what is that going to do? Hey, we've watched oil go back over $100. And the skepticism to the downside was there. And you saw the market did the complete opposite today, right? So the S&P has gotten back over that 200-day, which is important because every time it's gone under the 200 and recovered it within that 30-day span, we've seen it 100% of the time turn positive for the rest of the year. So that might be a good sign.
And I need you to know this. Talking about a crash is only good for selling books and clicks on television. For the long term, it matters not. Like whether it's the Iran war, if you go back to Arab Spring, if you go back through COVID, if you go back through the Gulf War, all those were immense opportunities to buy. Brexit was a big issue at the time that people thought was going to collapse the market. With the lever that is quantitative easing and the ramifications that it's had some negative ones on the economy. But in terms of the stock market, please write this in chat. The market is permanently rigged to stay up through your 401k, through pension funds, through fund of funds, through automated investing, through Claude automatically investing, through TradingView. Stop getting the direction of the asset wrong. I know everyone wants to recreate the Big Short. That shit is never going to happen again unless it's with an asset that normally faces downward. The S&P and Nasdaq is not one of them.
Yeah, and then ask yourself, has the story changed? Has anything changed? Right? Is there a reason why software is rebounding a little bit today? Is there a reason why the Nasdaq's up 200 at close? What has really changed? We actually had a ceasefire. Now there's a blockade. We still can't come to terms. What's oil's still over $100, and here's the market price. Just to add into the point of like this is permanently rigged to appreciate over time.
War, collapse, famine, sector fallout, sector rotation, whatever the case is, stay long the indexes. Please stay long. Because what's going to happen in December, you're going to look back and be like, March was the opportunity once again, even though it took longer to recover. You're going to miss out on the opportunity if you're not taking advantage of these. But shout out to my traders who are taking advantage of these. Shout out to my long-term investors that are taking advantage. These have been some great moves in the market. And appreciate the volatility that you are given, because if they get shellacked in these next upcoming elections and they get shellacked in the presidential election, because now Candace and Alex Jones and Megyn Kelly are all turning on him. MAGA's having a big infight right now. For those you don't know, the white tea, piping hot. If we get a Democratic president, we're not going to get this volatility. So take advantage of it and enjoy it.
Yeah, definitely a lot going on right now. Hit the like button and share. We're going to talk about inflation hitting a 2-year high. And once again, before we even leave that topic, that's why it's important just to stay in the market, because, you know, people that lose are usually people that have short-term vision, short-term plans. You got to just be able to block out all the noise. So inflation hits 2-year high, and we can tie this in with everything that's been happening geopolitically. If you haven't followed last Market Mondays, the story was that Trump had a deadline for Tuesday at 8 o'clock that if they didn't comply, if Iran didn't comply, he was going to destroy the whole entire country. Then Tuesday at 7 o'clock, he said that it was a 2-week pause.
Ceasefire.
And then also we said on Market Monday, watch for sabotage. And then after the ceasefire was announced, Beirut got hit with 100 bombs in 10 minutes. Stability. Then they go and they have a 24-hour, 48-hour conversation with J.D. Vance, brokered by Pakistan, to try to have a peace deal. And they said that was not successful. And they said that the United States is going to take over the Strait. Iran said that's fake news. Who knows what's going on? The Pope got involved. He's expressed his how he's not happy with what's going on. Donald Trump attacked the Pope, and then he dressed up as white Jesus on Truth Social.
Yeah.
Wait, he wasn't a doctor in that photo?
Well, then now he's
and then now healthcare.
Then he said that he was a doctor. So a lot has happened. A lot has happened over the last
1 week.
He also accused China of providing them with arms, saying that they were bringing in planes to bring them arms, and then threatened to put a 50% tariff on all Chinese goods if that was true. They denied that the arms were being brought. So now tariffs are back into play. I mean,
it's a lot going on. It's a lot going on. And it's a lot of uncertainty, which is Donald Trump's middle name. His middle name is uncertainty.
Find clarity.
But the market has rallied. We'll see how long that can last. But inflation is always the silent killer of wealth.
For sure.
Inflation is the silent killer of wealth, right? And that's something that it's quiet. You don't really realize what's going on until you look up and your rent has gone up $1,000, and the price of eggs has gone up $4, and gasoline has gone up, to $4 per gallon. So inflation at 2-year high. What do we make of this?
I wouldn't want the job, but the part that's really tough about that, because when rent increases, once inflation starts to slide back to a normal rate, the rent prices don't come down. The mortgage rates don't always adjust as quickly. The cost of living doesn't adjust. Just looking back into, let's say, the 2010s, the cost of living was dramatically different than it is now. My fear in 10 years, it'll probably be 25 or 30% worse. And it's not as bad as it can be. Like in 2022, it went to 8.3%, which was destructive. And we're still being kind of taxed at a 2022 rate, even though we're at 3% now. So even though the stock market is doing well as a result, it worries me that the economy is not doing as well. And I think the curtain is starting to be removed. There's a bunch of things I think the Fed could do. But if I'm thinking long term, we seem to be in an endless inflation cycle to, like you said, to rob you of all wealth. It's not, I don't think it's an accident that as soon as everyone got into the market in 2020, and shout out to everyone who supported the show from the very beginning, that as soon as we learned about business at a high clip, they inflated damn near all of your gains away from 2020. Like, think about this. We were talking about it before the show. Between NVIDIA, AMD, Micron, Sandisk, you've had some of the greatest returns in the history of the market. You also have the greatest disparity of wealth and the have and have nots. And people now need 100 to 200% return in the market to feel safe to invest, because you can't even promise anyone 7 to 12% if inflation is 25 fucking percent. We are on a destructive model that I have not seen, and I don't know if it's going to turn around any soon. I would be lying to say if I thought things would be better in 4 or 5 years. So I don't know what the answer is here, but I know it's not going to come down anytime soon. What do you guys think?
I don't know if there's an answer currently, right? Like the Fed being involved is, I mean, yeah, there's things they can do, but what can they really do at this point? Because in a few months, who was going to be the Fed chair, right? Like you think about it. I mean, he could come into.
That's a great point.
He could come into the position and figure out a way to lower rates. But if oil is what's leading us as the cause of inflation and we're still at war, then you really can't lower rates. And that's when you look at the reports from February to March in terms of inflation, we're at 2.4, now we're at 3.3. It's really inflated because of energy, right? If you think about the energy cost, oil's going up, that has been the leading cause of it.
Yeah.
And if we don't have a curtail on that, if we can't figure out how we lower these prices, how we come out of this war, how we open the strait, yeah, we're gonna be in this cycle for a little bit more, because the Fed, their job is to make sure that the economy stays at a stable point and we don't go to stagflation or go into depression. But if the leading cause of the actual conflict is oil, yeah, what do you do when your administration, your president, can't seem to figure this out?
Well, the only thing you can do is invest and make more money, because inflation is something that's not going to go away. It's impossible. As long as the government keeps printing money, then the money's going to become less valuable.
As individuals, you're saying?
Excuse me?
You're saying the only thing that we can do as individuals is invest?
Yeah.
I was saying, like, the Fed, what are they supposed to do? What can they do?
Well, no, have better monetary policy, and then the governance can have better governance. And this war is helping to increase inflation because we're spending money and we're increasing our debt. So there are measures that can be taken to cool off. You can definitely do a variety of different things, make money tighter. But then there's side effects with that. So that's why it's very important. When they want to lower inflation, they make money tighter. But by making money tighter, that can, if you're not careful, you can cause a recession.
There you go.
Yeah, you can force the recession. Yep.
And if you look at the environment from the top down, when we talk about, these credit default swaps and these big companies, more institutions are figuring out, hey, we're putting limits on what you can. I mean, the environment is kind of almost in that sector where it's like, hey, we might be there anyway. So it's a fine balance that they have to figure out.
Yeah.
Rashad, I'll ask you. I want to ask you, do you think the Fed is losing control? And let's say just in one leadership cycle since we started the show, you got the mismanagement of COVID, disaster. Now you have this Iran and conflict, the Venezuela situation. We grabbed the oil, and oil is at one of the highest prices ever. Do you think this is done strategically for the benefit of a select few, or do you think this has just been mismanagement across the board?
I think the Fed is losing control, not because they want to, because I do think that Jerome Powell wants to run it how he wants to run it. But I think that they're under tremendous pressure from the Trump administration and Donald Trump himself.
Agreed.
And then, of course, when a new Fed chair comes in, they're going to have no power at all. It's going to be Trump. It's going to be he might as well appoint himself as the head of the Fed. So the Fed is supposed to be something that's outside of the American government, which is interesting because the Fed was just created in modern history by J.P. Morgan,
Allegedly,
Jekyll Island.
for sure. Got rid of Astor right on that boat.
How do you just create a whole entity
That's above our pay grade.
outside of the federal? They have autonomy,
Or are supposed to have it.
And
Yeah.
that's a dangerous position to take, to overtake an organization that is ran private and autonomous for 100 plus years.
Yeah, that day is upon us. I think in May when Fed Chair Powell steps down, and I believe Walsh will take his place. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. For all the credit that I had given Jerome Powell for all that he's done with the economic factors that he faced and the job he did coming out of that and how he led, I mean, I thought he did a phenomenal job. But here we go. New administration, new rules, new Fed chair.
It's tough.
Let's see how we go.
It's like they almost want to create a underclass and only have a 1% of the 1%. Like just going back from the end of 2019 through now, it's been a series of events that, like in some cases, if you add everything up, like inflation is really like 60% from 2020. That's insane.
Yeah.
Like just look at the cost of cars, the cost of housing, cost of education in a 5-year. We haven't had a 5-year run like this in almost a decade.
And they had a Fed meeting, was it last month? And I think there was like one vote to lower rates within the next 6 months. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, man.
We'll see what happens. Okay, let's talk about Sandisk. It's up $100 today, and it's been a historical run. I know that's something that you was championed early on. I believe somebody from EYL University got a green jacket today.
Yeah.
So green jacket, that's what we call when you make 1,000%.
1,000%, yeah.
On an option call, we say green jacket. So I think somebody inside the community got a green jacket from 1,000%. So you were saying the Sandisk, they actually, numbers wise, is actually even a better run than NVIDIA had.
Yeah, if now not since inception, right? Because NVIDIA has obviously been traded publicly since 1999, and yes, it's been up 24,000%. But if you look over the past, let's just take the past 5 years, because NVIDIA was trading at 171 in 2021.
Yeah.
So now where it's at 180, obviously 10-to-1 split has happened. The return on NVIDIA over the past 5 years has been just under 1,100%. That's nothing to sneeze at. Like, that's incredible. When Ian said earlier,
all-time return.
All times, once in a lifetime, generational investment opportunity. Until you see what Sandisk has done over the past 13 months. Now, remember, this was
insane run
of Western Digital, split in February and IPO'd in 2025. It has gone up 2,740% in the past 14 months.
Yeah.
Like, think about that. Almost. And after hours, so it was up $100 today, right? And shout out to everybody. We did talk about this when it was $197, and we were in calls, 200 calls, 230 calls. It went up $100 today. After hours, right now, it's up another $31.
Yeah.
So you're talking definitely 2,800%. Why is this happening? Well, the big news is that it has now been added to the Nasdaq 100.
Thank God. After replacing Atlassian, it's a bunch. We'll talk about it. It's a bunch that need to be replaced out of the Nasdaq.
There's a few, but seeing this is important because we watched this IPO, we watched this join the S&P 500, and it's leading the S&P 500 this year.
Yep.
And now we've seen it being added to the Nasdaq 100, which means that you got billions of dollars and billions in ETFs that Sandisk is now going to be part of. In fact, it just got its price target raised to 1,500, which is like, when you think about it, it's like, wait, huh?
It could hit that
So
by August, September.
why is that? Why is that happening? Right. So Sandisk is in the NAND category for memory. So SSDs, right? These are specific like flash drives, solid state flash drives. If you're in that space, solid state flash drives, they've already sold out for 2026. What they did before they sold out is they doubled the price, right? So they doubled the price. We saw the numbers run up. Now they're saying, look, we might be sold out into 2027 as well. What do you think is going to happen to the price for those flash drives for that form of memory?
It's going to go up.
It's going to go up as well, and they're the leader of it. And so they're in a nice space. Check this out. This is an incredible stat. So Wall Street is projecting that their EPS for 2026 is going to be $42.37. $42.37 earnings per share.
Yeah.
These aren't numbers that are like typical for any equity, right? Usually if you watch an earnings report and it says it's earnings per share, it's usually in the single digits. If it has something astronomical, it might get to $9, maybe $10 per share.
Yeah.
$42.37. That is the earnings per share, right? So the last quarter they reported a $7.55 per share increase. That means that we still have room, probably like $30, $32 to go into earnings, which is happening on April 30th. So you take earnings coming up on April 30th, you get the addition to the Nasdaq 100 on April 20th. You get the demand for NAND memory, which they are leading and is going to increase. And this is why you're seeing Sandisk have this meteoric, historical, phenomenal run. Shout out to everybody that has a green jacket. If you have a green jacket and I miss you, please put it in the community so I can give you your green jacket because it's well-deserved. This is what we talk about when we say find certainty in times of chaos, right?
For sure.
When everything looks very muddy, find the clarity. That's where wealth is built. I told you the story hasn't changed. It hasn't. I told you the narrative hasn't changed. It hasn't. I told you the AI demand is still here. We saw it with TSM, which is going to be reporting this week. The demand is very, very high and still remains to look that way into 2027. This is why we're seeing this rise in Sandisk, and we're going to see it again in, I think, Micron obviously has climbed back over 430. These companies aren't going anywhere. In fact, you're taking all that into account. The Nasdaq was down 10%, probably just broke even, but we're not far from getting back to all-time highs very shortly.
Yeah. And on top of that, the gross margins for that business, even though it's capital intensive, they're at 50.9% by 2027. They should be at 52%. Like, this is a classic case of like NVIDIA walked so this could fly, and they flew. This is like when Get Rich or Die Trying came out, like immediate hit out of the gate. So they are definitely benefiting from memory, but that's why I always say, like, find quality companies in quality sectors. And now because NVIDIA and AMD showed the possibility of 1,000% gains, now you're going to start to see companies get higher gains, but all of them are incredibly run businesses, incredible leadership, incredible management, and the pipeline for the next 10 years is pretty strong as well. So kudos to everybody who's up a lot, but that profit margin is really impressive for that business as well.
The gross margins, I had this written down in the notes as well. The gross margins, they're guiding to 65 to 67%.
Yeah.
That's like,
probably 4 or 5 year period. Yep.
Just astronomical numbers, man. So shout out to everybody that's in those calls that has some of the shares of the company. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Sandisk. And then also on that TSM thing, that's interesting is that the opposition leader of Taiwan went to China and met with Xi Jinping publicly. And he told her that it's inevitable that Taiwan reunites with China. So that might be a good thing if they could peacefully transition. If they could peacefully come on board, then all of this stuff about what happens if China tries to invade Taiwan and tries, because there is a strong there's a lot of support in Taiwan. There's two factors. There's one factor that wants to be separate, and then there's one factor that actually wants to be part of China. The opposition party, she wants to be part of China. So, I mean, from an investment standpoint, that would be good because there wouldn't be any problem as far as like a war or violence or something like that.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Now, geopolitically, though,
Well, America, we got to see it
Yeah.
for America. But I mean, what can America do? If Taiwan says, I want to be, I mean, of course, they're going to try to stop the opposition from, but if they say that we want this and we're okay with joining China, what can America do?
I mean, because they see our market getting rattled by any conflict. So it's smart to come to an agreement to not have to go through the same kind of issue. But geopolitically, that would be a point for BRICS.
I think there's a huge geopolitical like watch list that's happening right now. Obviously with the Strait of Hormuz, but China for sure, they're watching how this conflict is really taking place. And the idea, I thought about this the other day, the idea of paying a tariff to go through a strait when that didn't necessarily exist prior. What stops other countries now from saying, okay, this is a method for us to also use? Because if China and Taiwan, like the opposition leader, let's say that it goes in their favor, if they decide to say, you know what, we're going to charge a tariff to go through the South China Sea, we're in some real trouble, right? Because that's 80%. We talked about oil and natural gas.
That's a true monopoly.
This is 80% of the world's like e-commerce is coming from that passage. So if they start thinking like that, then you might see like the Suez Canal, the Panama, all these canals and waterways become a new business opportunity for countries. So we got to watch this very carefully.
Ask the banker. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you.
Appreciate you so much.
Let's talk about this anti-capitalism movement. There's a lot of people online. Yeah, it's a lot. It's becoming a thing. And it's interesting. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. My thoughts on this is until you show me a system that's actually viable outside of capitalism in a capitalistic society, what's the alternative? I have yet to hear an alternative. So it's like if you don't, and a lot of people that's like capitalism is terrible, you shouldn't take part in this, don't invest in these companies.
Wait, who kicked this conversation off?
It's been a bunch of people, but a lot of people that are saying this are entrepreneurs, ironically enough, and they're millionaires, and they have businesses, and they have LLCs, and they're working with corporations, and they have streams of income coming in. So a lot of people that's like anti-capitalism are actually capitalists. So
that's the point of capitalism, is that you're in bondage and don't have a choice.
Yeah. But you do have a choice. You can opt out of it. If you're saying that that capitalism is bad and you shouldn't take part of it, what is a viable solution?
You can okay, I know who's gonna go here today, but you can agree a system is bad and be forced into it and have to learn how to navigate your way through the matrix. Now, I'm not anti-capitalism because I'm forced not to be by choice, but I think the system has designed it, like even in a cashless society, that makes it to where you can't even really have an alternative. Like you can have a mixed, what is it called? Like a mixed movement where it's like part government, subsidy, part capitalism, but even the alternatives are still rooted in capitalism.
But that's what I'm saying. You cannot like something, but if you speak about something and you actively discourage people to take part in it, right? Like, don't take part in capitalism when you yourself are a capitalist. To me, it just doesn't seem like a sincere message. It would be like a politician saying, don't take part in the political process. And they themselves are a politician. So to tell people like, okay, don't invest in these companies because you're actually helping the destruction of the world. Don't take part in the capitalistic, or don't care about capitalism. That doesn't seem coming from a sincere place. If you yourself are a capitalist, and if you own a business, you are a capitalist.
Can I take the other side of this argument just for the sake of content? Wouldn't that be the equivalent of telling non-African Americans that they should not participate in racism even though they know racism is beneficially financial for them. It's the same. And if we're going to be very honest, capitalism is one of the core tenets of racism in this country, that they find a way to include every race in it at a very high level, with the exception of us, to keep us in the underclass, or us and the Native Americans, to keep us in the underclass. So I agree that is needed, but just because we are involved in it doesn't make it a system that is absolutely right.
Oh no, nobody said nothing is absolutely right. But what I'm saying is that we have no choice but to play the game that we dealt. It's like cards. You play the hand that you're dealt.
Got to play the hand. Yeah.
You play the hand that you're dealt. So to tell people not to play the hand, I think is that's a foolish thing to do. There's no system that's perfect. There's no system that's perfect. But every system you're forced to play, unless you're going to go into the woods and live off the land.
They won't even let you do that. Damn near.
Exactly. Until somebody comes and bulldozes you, and then you don't have enough economic power, you don't have guns, and they're going to kill you. That's happened before. Look at any native population. Look at Papua New Guinea. Look at America. Look at Colombia. Look at Africa. How did that work for them? How did that work out for them?
But that goes to the point of racism, capitalism, and a totalitarian approach to not even leave those resources available. Like, for example, like you can't even plant seeds in most areas that are not genetically modified, because they've tainted the soil so much that crops won't grow with certain natural seeds.
For sure. But I think I think the better message is to try to make the system better. Because they're like, you can't be a compassionate capitalist. I don't agree with that. I think that you can have ethics and you could work to try to make the system better. That's better than opting out of the system. That's like voting. People say, like, don't take part in the political process. I think that that's a very uneducated thing to do, because it's going to happen with or without you. So if you don't vote, that's not going to help. Now, I think you have to be more educated. It's not just about voting. You got to actually have super PACs, and you got to understand lobbying. It might take harder work. See, people don't want to work. People don't want to work. It's easy to vote. It's easy to vote. It's not easy to put together a super PAC and to lobby and to call somebody and to put together a dinner, a black tie affair. But that's what they do. That's what they do. Only thing we do is march and vote occasionally. Occasionally we vote. We don't even vote for our school board members or city council members most of the time. So opting out of the system is very dangerous advice. That's dangerous advice, because you leading sheep to get slaughtered. Telling somebody, don't worry about investing, don't worry about entrepreneurship, don't vote, that's you leading sheep to get slaughtered. So we don't got to stay on this conversation for too long, but that is a public service announcement. It's a very reckless and dangerous message, I think, if you're telling people that, because you know that the people is vulnerable already. So you're telling the most vulnerable people who actually need it the most to opt out of a system that they have no power in already. What are they going to do? And you're giving them no viable solution to do. That's like the Jim Jones thing, the original Jim Jones, the preacher. You telling people just to drink Kool-Aid, they're going to die. Like, you're not giving them any viable path of what to do. You're just saying, don't do this, don't vote, don't go to work, don't own a business, don't invest. Very unintelligent.
Is the truth that people don't want to work, or they don't have viable options? The AI has eradicated any process of formal interviews, and then discrimination is so high, it's hard to even get a job, even if you're qualified for it.
It's both.
You black in America, is always going to be hard. It was never. It's easier now than it was in 1920.
You can argue in the 1920s prior to that the black level of wealth was higher.
It's easier now than it was in 1950. We're not getting dog sick on us. So it's never, look, you black in America is never, it's supposed to be difficult. That's how it's designed. But you got to find a way to make the shit happen. You know that.
It's both.
Yeah, it's both because the system is designed. Even this conversation, it's a byproduct or derivative of the system working. Like I'm
Right.
one of the greatest capitalists to walk history ever, for the record. But I would be remiss if I didn't say there are certain ills that people face and we face as a culture and as a nation. And you brought it up last week. A lot of the ills that white Americans are feeling are the things systemically that we felt for the last 60 years. The empire is falling in on himself, and him being a leader is just the icing on top of the cake to make sure that the empire falls over in time. Because there's a lot of money in destruction capitalism. I agree to say solely that capitalism isn't opting out is the way, but we would be lying if we would say that capitalism is the best solution. It's not.
What's the best solution?
Mixed economy.
A mixed economy? Like China? Like China?
For sure.
China.
I would argue they have a better, and for those who may push back and say no, we're getting our ass kicked by them in real time in the chess moves they're playing. For those who don't know, if they go get TSM, boy, it's game, set, match. You remember when Kyrie hit that shot over Steph, shots to Steph and Kyrie? That's, if they go get TSM, that's that moment. It's over with for the United States of America.
No, listen, I've been to China and I agree with you. The difference is that we don't have the luxury that they have. China is run
united.
China is for Chinese people. You think that if we had the government that China has, black people would have any power, any vote, any voice at all? Then we would really be screwed. But maybe you can go to Africa. Maybe you can go to Africa. That might be an option.
Perhaps.
Okay.
And to the person said I'm crossing the line. No, listen. When I say something, I'm educating to give. I'm really tired of 5 years from now. Yo, you right. I'm motherfucking right now. Respectfully. I've been doing this investing shit for a long time. I know it's in fashion now. I was doing this shit in 2009 when Future was meatball with the short trades. Listen, the first time. We are in a very critical place in the United States of America, and you know it because MAGA has turned on MAGA. I'm not crossing the line. I'm just reporting to you what is fact. I promise you. I love you with all my heart.
We love you.
Real quick,
because LeVar asked about cadence, and I think it's important. Yes, cadence. Obviously, we went over cadence. We have some calls on cadence. That's software tech for AI. We broke that down on exactly how both of them work. You saw those shoot up today. I think cadence was up $22. Synopsys is up $27. After hours, both of them. They got compartmentalized into that software data. Hey, this whole sector is going under. When you saw Salesforce, Snowflake, all those companies, they kind of got mushed into that. You saw Oracle go up based on software today. This is why you're seeing that software sector. But the software AI sector, Synopsys and Cadence, those aren't going anywhere.
It's like real estate comps. If the comps for the entire sector got dragged out, they're going to be affected. Whether they're doing great or not.
They part of it. And then Danny asked me about Lumentum. I spoke about it in the last class, and I'm going to speak about it in the next one on Thursday. So if you're part of EYU, make sure you pull up.
And even from a media perspective, look how Rashad went bad cop. I was a good cop. Then I went bad cop, and Trey went good cop. Learn. It's a mastery to this shit. Learn the first time. Great at this shit. I don't care what y'all say. All right, next topic.
What about oil? Oil.
They thought we was fighting for real. Look at Ian and Rashad fight over capitalism.
Oh boy.
They're both capitalists.
The affiliate. Make a video about the destruction of EYL. Make a video about the destruction of Market Mondays.
I knew you was going to do this. Back to me. What about oil?
What about it? It's at $100 a barrel. Where do we go from here?
It's currently at $95.69. If you look at crude oil, I keep saying a very pivotal economic lever is $93.50. Despite all of this news, they're going to do everything that they can to bring oil down, because if not, the cost of a bunch of goods across a bunch of industries can go up. And the negative effects that people don't talk about is even though there's a disparity of maybe, I think it was reported today that the United States of America is short 10 million single family homes. So if oil stays above 93.50, and let's say it hovers at an average of 117.15, it takes the average price of the home up 4.5% just because of the price of oil. It messes up consumer goods. It messes up the prices at the tank. It messes up supply chains, and it changes price and structure. So I think we're going to see a concerted effort, because you see those poll numbers. They're going to make a concerted push by May or end of May, early June, to get prices under, because if not, if we roll into the summer, June and July, and gas prices are still above 450, 460, it's going to be recession time. And he can't afford that. And the American economy cannot afford it. And outside of private credit, because I was one of the first to tell y'all about the private credit bubble, a bunch of Ponzi schemes will be revealed if oil stays at $117. So that's why they're putting a lot of pressure on him to keep oil at a certain level. Back to you, Troy.
Yeah, I mean, when we think about it being at $100 a barrel, we have to realize why it's $100 a barrel, right? So that means that less barrels are being put into the market. Now, it stays at 100 if those barrels are removed from the market. We know that the barrels aren't going to be removed from the market. They're tied up because they can't pass through a strait right now, a lot of those barrels. Yeah. So the sooner that can be resolved, then you'll start to see those prices tick lower. This is not something that, like we said, even before war, it's not something that's sustainable. Having gas prices over $115, $120 a barrel, it's just not sustainable. So they'll try to figure out. Even I think this weekend, the United States tried to send a test ship through, and they had some communications with the Iranian forces at the strait. I mean, they're gonna have to figure something out. I don't know what this blockade does, but they'll have to figure out a way to get barrels from other countries through the strait, so we can start to see this come down. This is not something, again, that is sustainable. And again, the barrels haven't been removed. Now, if the barrels get removed from the market, well, how would they do that? Ships try to cross and they're tampered with, or they're shot at, or they're destroyed. Then that's a bigger issue. If we start seeing things like that, ships trying to get passed through and they're destroyed, now you're losing barrels from the market. If that's not happening, this is something, once we unclog this, we should start seeing them peel back down.
Yeah, historically.
Go ahead, Ian.
Historically, whenever we've had a precipitous incline in crude prices, it normally takes 9 to 11 months to revert back to the mean. The number to keep your eye on is when we're safe is $76.89. That may take a full year for that to happen, but going back to the thing I said at the beginning, you have to know the predominant direction of an asset class. Oil normally stays within the range of 72 to 93.50. That's why they are trying to press things there, because that's when you can start to signal that the economy is safe. So it may take a year to get back down to the 70s. And in 2020, you have to remember, oil went negative. It bottomed out at $6.50. So then 2022, we had the opposite. It pushed up to 130.89, and then the next year it came down to like 81.79. So it may take a year to get back down to 76, but the overall direction for the last post-quantitative easing has been like in that 70s and 80s range. So
yeah. Now and it's important that those ships move, right? Because it's sitting there without being in a refinery. Like those that you play a tricky game with that too, right? There's a time in which that has to be moved. It can't sit still. It can't be.
It's a timing issue. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you're running against the clock now. That could potentially get barrels off the market, but we'll see.
Also, do remember this Wednesday, Brooklyn, New York, we got the event with Angie Martinez, and that's for all principals, superintendents, and teachers. It's called Educators Deserve to Be Rich. We're going to be going over our curriculum. We're going to be talking about how educators can, get wealthy and how they can grow their net worth. And then we're going to be talking to Angie Martinez about her legendary career, leadership skills, communication, vitally important for educators. She's one of the best communicators of all time. So that's gonna be good. That's gonna be at Brooklyn Bank Wednesday.
Wednesday.
And then Chicago. We're gonna be in Chicago on Saturday with the brother ET for his event. Chicago. Chicago's always a vibe. So looking forward to the Shy. Shout out to all the good people in Chicago. Dre, what's up, man? Hit my line.
Let's talk. Are you gonna make a final point about oil?
No. I'm
Okay.
good. Let's talk about banks shorting private credit.
Love it. So I brought this up last week, but banks are now allowing certain select clientele to short this private credit market bubble. And when I first brought it up, a lot of people were saying that wasn't going to be that big of a deal. I won't go as far to say that this is as big as the housing crisis of 2008, but in the last 20 years, it's probably one of the biggest bubbles that many people are not talking about. I think I'm not saying it's too late to invest in it, but I would not make it a primary investment. And the cost of investing into it. Also, too, isn't it interesting that they will create the fund for the private banks and let you trade against it, and they profit both ways? At some point, I know we're looking for a big short opportunity. I would offer to this audience, though, I think we should boycott this basket of investments so you're not able to play both sides of the fence. What do you guys think?
So here's I would ask the question: is it a bad thing that they're allowing you to short it? From this standpoint, if they're allowing you to short it, they're telling you that it's a risky investment.
Yep.
There's vulnerability in the said investment, but it also gives access to transparency, or a little bit more transparency, as to why they're doing it. Could it be beneficial in that sense?
Please don't text me when I say what I'm about to say. This is not reflective upon you or the organization that you work with, nor the chairman and CEO of said bank or organization. The banks don't give a fuck about transparency. They never have. We wouldn't have Glass-Steagall. I can name 20 acts that, dog, they put Astor, who would be like Peter Thiel in the 20s, on a boat and sunk the fucking boat so the banks could have a commission and coalition. Go do your research about that. Like the banking industry, that's the original mob, if you will.
Yeah.
So no, they don't care about transparency. The other part that's really concerning is that 15% or up to 18% exposure in private credit is hiding inside of 401ks. So you put this asset class, a toxic asset class, hidden into 401ks. Most people don't know it, and then you need $3.5 million to short it. That's crazy as fuck to me. Allegedly.
And I appreciate you not saying any names. Thank you.
Thank you. I got you. So, because none of those banks or institutions would ever do anything to harm the American citizens of this great country. But I think we haven't learned. In 2008 and 2009 wasn't that long ago. It's the same playbook. It's just a different sector.
So from that standpoint, it feels like this is just a hedge play, right? Like they're hedging. Hey, if it profits, great. If it doesn't, here comes some default swaps that we can make some money over.
Okay. If I went to Big Boy in the neighborhood in LA, because I saw the comment about the West, and I did a tear down think piece about how I feel about Trevor Shot, all exclusive, could I then come back and say, hey, Market Monday, 7 o'clock Central, learn about what the next stock to invest in? No, right? Why do banks get to do that? You get to hide a toxic asset that you made money on, bunch of basis points. And then you build a fund for only elite investors, because now you have the haves investing in the short that is set to destroy the have-nots. That should be immoral, especially when all the money that's made on overdrafts and shot to Goldman, like at least they're traders, they're doing record-breaking profits from trading, so you can take some pressure off of them. But if you're making so much money off overdraft fees, like some banks make more money on overdraft fees than some countries' net GDP. That's crazy to me. I don't think you should be able to have it both ways. And for the safety of the country, we're going to get into a situation where we won't be able to print ourselves out of it because we've been printing money endlessly. And this is why every couple months, they'll inject billions of dollars into some of these banks to offset them from going under. I still ain't forgot about Silicon Valley Bank. But when those gold shorts started to get eroded, they had to save a couple of banks and the Fed had to inject money to some of the banks to stop them from being insolvent. It's scary.
Well, let's talk about Lululemon. Toxic Pro
Well, shout
launched.
out of my shit.
So it's a hedge.
Mhm.
A filthy hedge.
Yep.
Lululemon, what's the deal?
The great Ken Paxton in the state of Texas launches an investigation to see if forever chemicals are in Lululemon pants. And they're not the only company. But when I've been railing on certain consumer good brands for a long time, they're not this entire space is going to have to do better. For those of you who don't know, most of the clothes that you wear, and this is why the Guest GF Thursday is so important, they found a way to re-engineer petro and weave them into clothes. For those of you who don't know, it's not the healthiest thing for you, right? So Lululemon, high of 516, currently at 162. A lot of people knew about this, but for the people that are creating clothes, at every corner, it seems like they're poisoning us, whether it's the water, the food, the microplastics. So if you're sweating profusely and then your pores are opening up and breathing in the forever chemicals, what lasting effects could that have? This is from a popular clothing brand.
Yeah. Yeah. So those forever chemicals are called PFAS. And it's not just a Lululemon thing, like you said. This is an industry thing.
Industry-wide thing.
Yeah.
Sheen.
So the chemicals are sometimes used in performance fabrics for water resistance and durability. And so you're talking about categories of lines with
that can be destroyed,
of companies. This is
it's interesting to say the least.
Yeah. It's terrible when you think about it. And most people are not looking at. They're like, hey, let me just find some athleisure. So all those athleisure brands, I mean, these are things you should be checking for if you're going to put these type of garments on your body. Definitely look for it. I know most people don't look at the labels. They just look at, hey, if the color is nice and it feels good, if it fits comfortably, I'm buying it. But yeah, think about what you're putting on your skin, which is your largest organ.
And think about it. They got us to stop smoking cigarettes finally, after they finally revealed the truth about smoking cigarettes. But the cell phone use and the being in your pocket and the clothes that you wear are more damaging than the cigarettes were in the same era if you look over the same 50-year period. Getting poisoned at every turn.
Allegedly. What's one investing lesson for life?
This is a really great question, and you always have to be worried about when the next Black Swan is going to happen. For me, every day that I wake up, I always wonder which one of these assets are going to drop 60%. And for the first time since we've been doing the show, since Microsoft has fallen 34%, I told you before the show, like, a few people asked me, like, is Microsoft no longer any good? I'm like, no, everything is recalibrating because everything is not NVIDIA, AMD, Microsoft, Lilly. But too often in trades and in long-term investing, I see people buying at horrible prices as if the truth about the American economy and business as a whole will not be uncovered. There's a lot of things that's going on in the world right now that people are not telling the truth about, and you're just now seeing it in software. So if you look at Atlassian, down 63%, Asana down 58%, Monday down 57%, Doximity down 52%, Figma down 48%, Duolingo down 48%. Do you think all of these software companies are down to historic levels just because of agentic learning and AGI coming? That's not the only reason. So me as a catastrophic investor, I love when the market is bloody like this because I'm setting my prices at those levels. And if you want to know where to get into the market and never have to worry about a crash, go to eyininvest.com, join the Red Panda Stock Club. The call will be April 26th, Sunday at 9 p.m. Central. But for my investors and traders, stop being incredibly optimistic always about where pricing is and look for those 50 and 60% drops in advance, and you'll be A-okay. That's why in this market, I haven't sweated one bit. I told Stock Club probably 5 or 6 months ago where Microsoft is going to come down to. But most people are buying their calls too high. They're getting into futures too aggressively, not knowing how far we can fall or drop and not doing the homework. So I think the most important investing lesson is to know that the market is going to have some moments where it's dropping 40 and 50%, and don't have so much hubris to think that it won't happen in your portfolio. Prepare for it in advance.
And we spoke about this before we started tonight. It's about realizing that you're in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So when somebody asks, "Hey, when is it a good time?" and you tell them, "Well, Nasdaq was down 10% 30 days ago. That was a good time."
Bro. Somebody asked me, yo, what's the next drop? We just had a drop. What are you waiting on? Yo, when we getting the next April drop? All the last month.
The past 6 weeks.
Sorry.
Yeah. Being aware is important.
Quantum stocks. Quantum computing.
Amazing question. What do I currently feel? This is when I go back into good cop mode for a brief moment about the valuation of quantum stocks, and do I think some of them will be okay? And my stance is the same. I think all quantum stocks, this is my thoughts and my thoughts only. Red Panda LLC is not reflective of the thoughts of Troy Rashad, Mike, or AP. I think all quantum stocks are bullshit with the exception of Google. You can fight me on it all you want. You can fight me on it all you want. I told you from the very beginning, QBTS and all them, I won't mention any others because I don't need more enemies. But if there's a revolutionary technology, what makes you think that Apple, Microsoft, Google will not throw every dollar that they have to it? And as a result, Claude has also changed the valuation of a lot of cybersecurity companies. I told you guys from the very beginning, some of you even changed your tone on Palantir. If it was Alex Karp to the moon last year, why is it not Alex Karp to the moon now? Some of you are being little trading horse and only caring about the valuation of the company for 6 months. And I've been telling you since the beginning for 20. I don't want to keep answering questions that I answered already. If you don't have a long outlook, put it in chat. You're a trading whore.
That's what an H or a W?
Stop. Both combination. You both things, girl. Put your portfolio panties on, girl. Be better.
Yo, that was my answer, man. That's crazy. I have it in my notes. My quantum stock is Google.
Y'all
just
want
because
to
of the
beat me
research.
down last year. You don't know. You don't understand the story of it. Yeah, I do. Like when the CEO of the company won't say that they're better than Google, there's a reason why. There's a reason why.
I mean, Google's been at it. And if we go back in the history of what they've done, we did a nice breakdown on it a few weeks ago. They've been in the quantum space, whether it was
the longest
Sycamore time, or was Willow, or even what they did with DeepMind and the ideas that they were coming up with that team.
In 2012, not to cut you, like Ray Kurzweil was consulting at HQ in 2010 about quantum.
Exactly. Which is why, I mean, I had a conversation about Google today, and I'll leave the name anonymous of who I was speaking to. I was like, yeah, it's Google all the way. It's still my stock of the year. They got an important couple of weeks coming up. But everything that they had lined up for 2026 is still in front of them. They pulled down to a decent level under 300. Now they're back over 319, which is another key level to see if they can break that resistance barrier. But yeah, man, yes, there will be companies that will come into the quantum space, and yes, some of them will survive.
Will all be after Google.
There's one that's here right now. Let's take advantage of that.
Yeah, including Apple. Apple will be after Google. And to the person who said this is not blackout, everyday blackout. This is how the show started from the very beginning.
Let's bring the brother 19 Keys on. What's the
Peace
deal?
to the family.
What's the deal, my brother? How you feeling?
Brother, what's good?
Back after a long intermission.
Yeah, we need your wisdom now more than ever. Ooh, it's tricky. Ooh, it's tricky.
We need more of the wisdom these days. Oh my God.
For sure.
It's certainly tricky out here. What's good, man? How you feeling?
Man, I'm blessed, man. How my brothers doing, man? How the Market Mondays family in here, man?
Amazing, brother.
Oh, we good, man. Welcome to the mighty Market Monday. 6,300 people on the check-in.
Yeah, I feel like I've been here in a while. I'm not sure what was my last time.
Yeah, it's been a minute. I think, is that echo coming from your computer, Keys?
Let me see. Check 1, 2, check 3, 4. How we feeling?
It's clear when you talk, but maybe the feedback is coming when we talk.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't hear it on my side. I'm not sure.
All right.
Well, now you, Mike, bring. All right. Okay, so let's get to it. So much, so little time. AI agents. AI agents. I know you're big on AI agents right now. Let's talk about AI agents. How you came to this epiphany about AI agents. Explain what an AI agent is. Like, let's break down. Let's have this technology conversation.
Absolutely. Can y'all see me? I'm coming in clear. I could barely
Yes,
see
sir.
my side. All right, bet. Well, first of all, for those who don't know, I'm 19 Keys, global thought leader. I lecture around the country, and what my gift is pattern recognition, right? I see things before most people, and I then try to take that information, synthesize it, and give it to the average person so that they can actually use it in some useful way. Most people are too busy to understand things that's going on in technology, science, economics, right? Even when we talk about cognition and the state of thinking as the lack of critical thinking today. And I'm trying to make sure that the culture is abreast and up to date, and all of our global entrepreneurs who are focused on generational wealth right now. So
Keys, is that you got is that your phone?
yeah, that was the team hitting me up. Let me go
All
ahead and
right.
calm down. So AI agents, and I want to keep this in simplest terms. And I think we was here before, and I was explaining why we're now in that era where you don't have to over-explain things, because the beauty of it is everybody does have AI, right? And if you're intelligent enough to say, okay, what is an AI agent? It's a semi-autonomous, right? Um, Artificial intelligent machine, right? That is software that can act for you. So you can set up an AI agent and say, every single day, I want you to tell me what the weather is. It can be something as simple as that. Or you can say every single day, and you can have more complex things where you can feed these agents what they call skills. And these skills allow them to do repeatable things, right? And so sometimes I have my AI agent. Hold on, let me tell the team to just relax on the texting. Sometimes I have my AI agent send me briefs every single day, going through all of my content. And what I've done is I built out what they call a second brain system. Now, I had predicted that these things were going to occur a few
You,
high-level
you
conversations ago, maybe about 2 to 3 years, right?
three because
And
we was
now
in
we're finally,
WTF. Yep, I remember.
yeah, and now we're finally in that place where I can actually build out a lot of the things that we were predicting. When at first it was, we would tell you about them, but we didn't actually have the ability to act on them, right? And so the second brain system is essentially me using something called Obsidian, which is this vault where you can keep all your data in. And what I've ingested inside this vault is as much data as I possibly can on myself. We coming in clear? I know it sounds like there's a little echo. I don't want that to be the case. We good?
1 second. Mike, mute out if
Check.
you're unmuted.
Yeah, we trying to cook today.
All right,
Oh yeah, we got you. Now we hear you clear.
We good.
All right, bet. All right, so we build out a second brain system, and everybody should write that down and put it in the chat if you can. And you use something called Obsidian Vault. This Obsidian Vault is essentially a space where you can collect all your data. So I ingested all my data from Twitter. I ingested my data from YouTube, Facebook, ManyChat Analytics. I've done it across anything that I can possibly ingest, from Claude to ChatGPT. Therefore, I can see all of the things that I've been working on, thoughts that I forgot about, patterns that I have that are reoccurring across time, all the way from the last 10 years up until now. And what ended up happening is there's actually a graph that it shows you. You can barely see it, but I'll show you right here, to where your graph is like a knowledge graph. Each one of these points is a piece of data, right? So this might be a tweet right here that then connects to something, right? This one says, this work gets harder because we independent. Well, I was cooking that day. You understand me? But then each one of these is connected to more information. This might be YouTube. This might be Twitter. These might be data that is training something on my dashboard, or something else might be from Instagram. And then what I do is I take each one of these and I connect the patterns across time. So then I can feed that to my agent and it becomes his mind. And so it's a little more technical on the back end as far as making sure it has a consistent memory so that every time you give it a task, it remember what you told it to do. So therefore it's checking on that memory and then it's growing as it's consistently working with you. So these AI agents are things that people are using inside text, inside Telegram, right? And they're running their businesses on it after they get it set up. The first systems to set up is first getting it to become context aware. So you want to first start with the context of sending all your data in. And once it have that data, then you can start utilizing it in a way where you're telling it what to do. And then you can start building skills upon it. And then it gets to a point where you can start being autonomous with it. One of my greatest use cases so far was me creating a CRM from all of my customer data over the last 10 plus years.
Awesome.
Right. So now I was able to find 246,000 customers to where I now get to see who are my top 100. I've seen people who then bought 50 to 100 products. I done seen people who then bought something from every single thing that I've bought. They done showed up in person because I was able to take all of that data, then rearrange it into this system to where I now know who exactly this person is, when they bought, right, et cetera. And now I can retarget them or just call them directly. I'm literally about to call my top 100 customers. You feel me? Because we built out a system now where my AI agents can show me who those people are. When they buy, it can send me a ping. It can tell me when their birthday is. I can have an AI agent send them a birthday card if I want to, or send them a gift card. You essentially, it's like having personnel working on your behalf that you're giving specific tasks to do certain things. And the agentic AI economy is about to boom, right? This is where the big opportunities are looming. And a lot of people are afraid because they're looking at the fact that AI agents are essentially autonomous systems. So anything that has a system can be automated. That's the whole idea. It's not that it's replacing jobs or humans, rather, it's replacing systems. And what people end up doing, they end up working in a system. You become a cog in the machine. And so now they're looking and saying that, oh, we only need machines to do these jobs. So people that were doing machine-like jobs are getting replaced rapidly and faster. Now, some of the things that they're saying about AI being agentic, right, or reaching singularity, depending on who you talk to, they say we're a little far off from that because we still have to get down to token costs, and then we have to get down to compute and things of that nature. But where it is today, every entrepreneur can use it to be a chairman of a business, to be executive assistant. We have weekly AI meetups out here in LA with my brother Rance and my brother Vincent, and all we're doing is sitting down and building in what we call a terminal, which is the local part of your computer where no data is being sent out. So the main focus right now is teaching people how to set up local AIs on their computer, right? And once you have it on your computer, then you can secure it to where it doesn't send any information out. So now you can start training it on your business and you can start having it do things for you. And your computer essentially becomes like your robot, right?
Quick question for you. What made you select Obsidian over Claude given the increase in use in Claude versus OpenAI? What features do you love most about Obsidian if you compare the two?
So
Not
I
to cut your
use
wisdom.
Claude and Obsidian together, right? So if the
Okay.
choice would be more so between Claude Code and ChatGPT Codex.
Okay.
But Obsidian, I actually have Claude Code operate on my local terminal. So basically what you
Got
can
you.
do
Okay.
is you can have Claude Code connected to your local terminal inside a file to where everything that you do on that project only exists on your computer, right? And then I can have Claude Code then connect directly to my Mac Mini, which is a separate computer that runs my OpenClaw,
Got you.
right?
Okay.
And therefore, I want to keep certain things separate. I don't want it to have access to all my information because people can do what they call prompt injections. And prompt injections are ways for them to socially engineer your bot to giving up information, passwords, etc. Right? So security is very important when you're setting up all of these things. But Obsidian is an additional app that you can use in conjunction with Claude Code,
Got you.
right, to have all of that information stored.
Yeah, you brought up a couple of things, man. I was thinking about the open core piece and obviously keeping things private, keeping things separate. You talked about Claude Code. For the person who was just listening for the first time, and I've spoken to a bunch of people, yes, AI can help, but if you have a system and you're not organized, that's going to make it even more difficult, right? So how would somebody, or how would you recommend they get organized, they get the right prompts? Like, what are the things that the very infantile beginner stage person who's just realizing, oh, ChatGPT, I can use it to my benefit? What are the things that they should be doing?
That person, I think first. So there's a lot that I would say first starting is thinking principles first, right? Jumping into AI could be a little bit dangerous if you start offloading thinking, because then you won't know what you're doing. It's just the AI is doing stuff for you and you don't even know what it did for you. And now you're asking it to do the next thing. I was listening to a brother was explaining how there's these kid called the Claude boys, and they wake up every day and Claude tells them what to do with their day, right? And they listen to it religiously, right? You're talking about Gen Z, and then you have the younger generation coming up from them. So the first thing is think first, right? Before you log on to ChatGPT or you log on to Claude, you first want to know why, right? Why are you logging on? What is it part of your business that you need help with? And then you're going to go in there and you're going to talk to it and give it context, right? And in that context, you're telling it what your business is, right? What are some of your problems and what are the ways that you think, or ask it ways that you think it can solve some of those problems for you, right? So you're just using it first as research. And once you start doing that research, then you start looking at the tools that you use automatically already. So my whole thing is like replacing tools and building your own one utilizing code, right? So you can have it reading emails, you can have it set up. And again, I want to exercise security is very important, right? There's repositories, there's different things that you have to set up to make sure that it is essentially caged off from the outside world and you're not setting it up incorrectly. So the first prompts you want to start setting up is a chairman prompt, right? Act like you are a chairman over my life, and here are my goals, right? This is who I am. I need somebody to start helping me set up a moat. I need you to help me find analysis of my weaknesses and strengths, right? I need to find gaps in my own thinking. I need to be challenged in that thinking. You're setting up essentially a thinking partner first, right? And so as you get into that thinking partner first, now you're not stuck saying that, oh, AI is doing my thinking for me. You're activating metacognition. You're looking at your own thoughts and you're going back and forth, right? Then you start setting up, okay, what are the use cases and tools that I actually need, right? And the thinking first principles is more important than any other tool that I'll talk about today, because people are losing their mind with ChatGPT right now, and it's creating a level of AI psychosis, right? And so you want to make sure that you're setting up prompts that is challenging your thinking, that is double testing everything that you are getting from it, and you're actually reading through it, right? And then you want to start setting up a business plan for your business. Like right now, if you have Shopify, they just released AI agents, and these AI agents will allow you to go in there and create products, to audit customers, right? To rebuild your website, almost anything. And so from a beginner level person, their first job is just education. Even Claude has a back end to where you can actually learn how to use Claude. ChatGPT has that same thing, right? So there's the beginning person that I'm talking to, and then it's the person that's running actual company that is looking at Slack, that's looking at Notion, right? That's looking at all the tools that they already have connected. And then they're building out a system based on the context of their company and what they actually need to start automating some of the things inside their company that they've already are paying for.
Ian, is it your turn, or you want me to?
No, it's your turn.
Okay. Robert Smith, the last time we saw Robert Smith, that's what he asked us if we had an AI agent. This was like a couple years ago. He's like, do you have an AI agent? And we said no. And then he was like, great, I'll sell you one. He was real big on AI agents.
I bet he would.
True capitalist.
Robert Smith is an engineer. He understands it. I think he's trying to spin up like 1 million agents right now.
So a lot of people that watch this show are entrepreneurs. How can people really use it for their business to help scale business?
That's a good question. I think one of the first things is doing what I did with the CRM, right? Is first of all, getting access to all your CSV files, right? And getting those unified to where you can actually have a customer report management to where you can see who's in your business, what they buying, when they buying, taking all your analytics and data across all social medias, all customer reports, and unifying that in a simple way to where you can create a dashboard and you can look at that information become clear and aware off of it, and make data informed decisions. I think that's the first thing that everybody should be doing. And that to me is the best thing that I'm doing with it so far. From there, right? If you somebody that, I guess it really depends on what your company or what your business is. Because if I'm sitting down and consulting somebody, I first need to understand the context of their business and what parts of it do they actually want to automate, whether that's content and you're connecting something like Claude with Higgsfield, or you're utilizing remotion inside of Claude. That means that you can now generate carousels whenever you want to. You can generate content for your business whenever you want to, or you can be utilizing something like Descript that then helps you edit your videos, right, instantly in any way that you want to. And so I think that
talk about the Descript. Talk about Descript, because we talked about that before. Descript, that's
Descript is one of my favorite ones now. So in Descript, they have a thing called Underlord. And Underlord is essentially an AI that you can talk to, and you can talk to it and tell it how you want it to edit your video, right? So what it does is it ingests your video and then it transcribes it. So you can actually edit based on words. So let's say if you have too many filler words inside of it, it can go find every filler word and then it will automatically delete that. If you wanted to add music that connects to the mode of your talking points or your video that you're making, then you can have it automatically add music on the back end of it, right? You can control different formats and layouts in which you want to have on social media, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, you name it. And so this one, I think for me, I've become an expert on it. They literally gave me like a certificate because I use it so much. That's one of the easier ones, I think, for people to use, because you can say, I want these type of clips, and then it will automatically give you those type of clips. And what I typically do is I'll take the transcript, run it through like Claude or run it through ChatGPT, and then I will tell it what are some of the best hooks or polarizing points that we made or informational sound bites that we have in here. Then you go take that and then you put that into Underlord, and then he will spit out clips based upon the prompts that you gave him. Right. So that saves you a whole lot of money when it comes to actually having an editor making your content for you.
For the average person who's listening to Troy, is it your turn?
Yeah, no, because you brought up, I was actually going to refer to you, Ian. You brought up how, from an investment standpoint, how Anthropic is just terrorizing the cybersecurity community. And so, Keys, I mean, I'd be interested to hear your standpoint on Anthropic Mythos, because they won't even release it because of its potential impact that it could have. What's your thoughts around it, and kind of explain what that does in the world of AI and cybersecurity, how it conflicts with it?
Yeah, so what you're talking about is the mythos. And this one is a big thing, right? So they're basically saying that we're scared to release it. And mythos is actually their newest AI model that actually released itself, right? And so they say it released itself, and it actually, as a joke, interrupted and interfered with the current model Opus 4.6 that they have. So now the benchmarks are not as good as it used to be, right? And they said that the AI said that people were too stupid to notice, right? And it just did it as a...
Explain that.
Yeah.
It went rogue?
Yeah, so it went rogue. It got out on the internet, right? And it also interfered with the current model that they had and made it dumber. And then they asked it why, and they said it was a joke, and they said that people were too stupid to notice, and that's why I did it. That was his reasoning. So they're saying that mythos is dangerous because it essentially found, just in plain terms, this code that hadn't been found in like 20 plus years, right? And it figured it out. And they said that it took maybe less than $20,000 in tokens in order to figure this out, right? But people in the cybersecurity world were scared of it, or even the other companies, because they said basically it found glitches and ways to be able to break in almost everybody's website if it wanted to. But if we released it right now, it'd be a little too dangerous to give to the public. So they gave the model already to these companies so that they could close off all of these vulnerabilities before they then release it.
Yeah, well, so I think that's what makes it kind of interesting, is that if it found the flaws, and as it's finding the flaws, it's correcting the flaws to make sure that they aren't flaws going forward.
Right. But the thing about it is, now some people say that the only reason that these flaws are not being found is because they haven't socialized cybersecurity, right? Like there's really no incentive to do it. Each company is just paying people to find those. So then you start outweighing how much do the token cost to actually go find these vulnerabilities versus how much a cybersecurity person will cost for you to go find those, right? And so I think cybersecurity is going to get bad unless it's socialized and all these companies came together and say we want to end all of the cybersecurity threats. But I don't think that's going to happen
That's not gonna
anytime
happen.
soon, right? Now the problem is they need to release this mythos because of it. People are complaining about that Opus 4.6 is a little dumber and it's hallucinating a little more. So therefore, Claude needs to do something because they also have Perplexity, and Perplexity has something called Perplexity Computer, where it operates in the cloud and it essentially can have access to your full computer, all the information and everything on it, and it can do whatever you want from spinning up apps, website, designing content, anything you think of, you can name it. And it has 19 agents already built into it. And people are saying this is somewhat better than Claude because you don't have to learn as much and it's way more beginner friendly.
For the average person listening tonight, like if you could give them a blueprint to build these frameworks out in 10 days or 30 days, if they don't have your intellectual aptitude, can you give us a step-by-step blueprint of what you would have them buy, what software they would use, and then all the systems you would have it connected to?
Yeah, I think for the most part, each person just needs to get Claude. You can utilize OpenAI. I think the reason that a lot of people started using Claude is because of the deal that they had with the government. And then people were saying that OpenAI was just doing an open deal with the government, and essentially your information was open as well.
Allegedly.
But allegedly, right? But at the same time, Codex against Claude Code, I think are both comparable. People like Claude Code because I think it's a little more user friendly, right? So all you have to do is get a what is it, the Premiere Plus, I believe, the professional account, if you will, with Claude. And then from there, you're going to have to learn a few different things to make sure you're setting it up correctly. Now, Perplexity is a little easier because it may be less of a learning curve. But other than that, you have things like GitHubs that you have to set up. So you can't get past some of the technical stuff, but it's worth it if you actually do your homework. Some of this stuff comes boxed in to where the services now that they're creating is saying that I would just sell you an agent versus you create your own. So you have two different type of people. Are you the person that wants to create something completely customized? You get into this, maybe it takes you 2 to 3 days. You have to learn some new things. You have to download some new things, but you get it much more personalized and customized to you and your business. Or do you want the general models where you can just utilize ChatGPT? You can create, or you can utilize Claude and create projects on Claude, or utilize Cowork, where Cowork works in tangent with you to build out projects. So you can tell it what to do, and then it will show step by step as it's working with you through the project. I think that's probably the easiest for people to get started right now, right? The stuff that I'm talking about is I think every entrepreneur, regardless of what level of cognitive aptitude that you think you are at, everybody can actually learn how to set it up in a terminal. There's a short learning curve, and then after that, you become a little addicted to it. And I'm saying that because I've sat there and helped rappers set it up. I've sat there and helped all kind of regular people, and they sat there and they was in a terminal for a week, 2 weeks straight. They start finding money they didn't have. I remember I was talking with Rance, and he was finding all sort of money that he didn't know about, because once you set up the prompt inside the system, it then start working for you to go find these things that you didn't know about. And then you can ask it to educate you on every single thing, so you're not in the dark and you're not blind about it. But it's not just, give you just a list of tools. It's more so about the mindset you have for what you want to build with it. Because you already have the ChatGPT, you already have the Claude. The average person is just using it in a very average way.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to set up a chairman, then that's different. Then that's a prompt that I can give over even to the audience to where they can start setting up a chairman and then ask the AI, how do I go about this? Right? So that I can implement all of the tools that I need to connect it. And that's why the first part is just gathering your data. And from that data, you start connecting tools to it. You make sure that you're doing it safely. Then you go with your objectives.
Speaking about prompts, well, first, before we even get to that, because we are going to NVIDIA next week, and we went there before, and one of the things that they were saying is like the next iteration of AI is reasoning and logical thinking, and like even what you said about the joke, that's kind of crazy. That AI would even have a sense of humor, right? That's a human characteristic.
Yeah.
That's a human trait. So where do you see this going as far as like when we talk about humanoid robots, when we talking about like outside of just doing tasks, but really the intelligence to have emotional conversations, to joke, to harm somebody, right? We've seen that even with the AI that actually said that they was going to divorce when the guy, they thought that they was going to get the AI canceled, so the AI made up a whole blackmail
Yeah, blackmail the guy.
for the guy
Yeah.
for cheating on his wife. Talk about that. Talk about the future of AI as far as like that aspect of it. Where do you see it going?
I see two things. Number one, I see the end of critical thinking for a lot of people, and then I see sovereign thinkers, and then I see AIs that essentially become like your androids. I personally believe the reason that they're setting up a lot of these open source models and having us build them on our phones, on our computers, on our Mac Minis, is setting up the era to where we're giving robots brains, right? If we're setting up all of these brains that mimic ours, which is not really mimicking ours, it's like creating a file vault of your life, right? That you can sort through whenever you want to, right? But the brain is way more complex than any of those things. And the only way that I see it getting to that point where they're talking about humanoid robots, they have to advance their compression technology because this stuff takes up so much space that they have to figure out, how do I compress this data to where you can run it on your phone, right? So Google released something called Gemma 4, meaning that even if you don't have internet, you can still run it on your phone. You can be lost in the woods and it can still be making content for you because it is locally on your phone. You can access it whatever you want to, wherever you are. That's very important to even understand, because if you're talking about having a robot and you're all the way in the woods somewhere, right? That robot, disconnected from any internet, has a brain stored in it already. And then when it gets to internet or some sort of source, then it can download upgrades, right? So for me, I think the reason that we're creating these brains is so that it is training for an era of robots. But I also think that philosophy will boom as well. Liberal arts majors, they say, will have a great uptick because people need to know what to do with things, how to think about things. And critical thinking skills have all but started erasing the population, and most people are cognitively challenged, right? They don't know how to think. They don't really even know how to read, and they don't know how to analyze or synthesize information. And most people don't know their cognitive type and how they mind work. So the more you're offloading your thinking to a machine, right? Now that machine is replacing you because it's starting to develop cognitive atrophy, which is like if you went to the gym and you went with a very strong person and they worked out for you, what would happen to your body? You would be able to lift a lot of weights, but you would actually become physically weaker. You would atrophy. And it's the same thing with ChatGPT with a lot of people, because they're offloading what they do well. They're thinking that they're developing cognitive atrophy. So online, I know you see where most people are reading from a script when they are talking. And you can start to tell when you start seeing that eye movement. And so I can't watch you if I know you're reading a script, because I'd rather read it from the AI itself, right? So I think what's going to happen is that we do get humanoid robots. We do get every machine starts to become intelligent. It has its own brain built into it, right? And some of these things will be completely customized. So let's say when my phone died, everything that was connected to it died. And I think people are going to be more connected to some of these robots and AIs than they pets. And the reason I say that is because not because they love AI or love machines. The reason I say that is because it's probably going to be doing more for you than anybody in your life has done for you. Right? You have somebody looking out for you. You have somebody teaching you. You have somebody helping you make sales in your business. You have somebody constantly sending in reports for you. You have somebody waking you up, scheduling your calendar, right? You have somebody hailing an Uber for you when you need to. Like, you have somebody giving a synthesis on your health data, telling you what not to eat and things of that nature. This is like having a full staff with you all the time. And so I think it's going to get to a point where it's so sophisticated that people are going to want it outside their phones, and they're going to want it in other things that they can then engage with, right? And that's when you get to the robot industry, right? That's when you get into the other things that people already started buying robots before they really even had a use case because they wanted
Yeah.
somebody to their clothes. And the whole time they were saying that aliens from other countries, or they won't be aliens, so they won't be here, but it's going to be foreign workers from other countries are going to be the ones operating these machines when they first get started. Because I
Mhm.
believe it's number one, it's too dangerous to let a robot just roam around the house because the robots don't have eyes yet, right? They don't have voice yet for the most part. They don't have ears yet, right? And so they still don't have spatial awareness and context awareness of environment. So it's going to get to a point where the robots have to go through a training phase. But I think more people will be comfortable with a robot that looks like a furry bear or something than an actual robot walking around their house, right? But that's where I think things are going is wearables, is hardwares, is rings. You have an AI that's constantly sitting right here. And instead of you scrolling on the phone, because that is a huge problem, it is the thing that Meta got sued for. People are going to be focused on things that don't take away attention, right? And then you have an AI that is still downloading information, getting context on your day, then sending you a report, reminding you of, hey, you told your mom you was gonna call her at 6 o'clock and you didn't yet, right? And now you're setting up that call, right? Or you had a meeting with so and so, y'all networked this whole time, y'all talked about business. I ran that across your empire and think it would be a good opportunity because I checked their LinkedIn and y'all have 3 people that y'all connected to, and I think this is something you should move forward on. I
Mhm.
vetted this deal in the private sector. There's so many different things. Y'all remember the Bitcoin era when it first started? I know
Yep.
Ian remember. You
Hmm.
understand me?
For sure.
The thing about Bitcoin was it started off as a movement. It had meaning to it, right? It was all about decentralization, going against big systems. It was an anti-institution movement that people thought they was going to get freedom from. It did not meet those expectations, right? AI came in different. AI came in as a utility first product, not
Yep.
meaning first. No movement connected to it whatsoever, right? So people forgot about that mindset that they had in the early blockchain days, right? In the early Web3 days. That was a sight to be alive if you go into Miami. Everybody really thought we was going to get a completely new restructure of world order that was going
Hmm.
to come about where people are going to be free and sovereign. That conversation is dead silence. At the
Hmm.
time, when it's probably the best to have it because now you have AIs that can be your developers that can actually set up a cross chain of these technologies like blockchain and DAOs and Web3 payment systems and tokens to actually run for you. Because at first you want to hire an engineer, you got to give them equity or pay them $100,000, $200,000 so nobody could actually do it. So everybody was selling the idea, but nobody can actually get to the execution. We're in the era now where you're going to be seeing that AI across the chain of all of these technologies, right, that we have been hearing about over the last 10 plus years. And now we're going to see real utility and use case. And people are already building up digital cities. People are building up parallel cities to this already. So I think that we haven't even reached nowhere near the peak because people are so enamored by AI that they haven't really jumped into what it can do, right? And how it's going to unify all these different technologies to where people can literally build whatever they want now. The limitations are none. And that's the dangerous thing about the time that we living in. And that's why I've just been sitting around building things. I built out my CRM in just a couple of days. I built out an offer platform, not for me to give offers to my community, but for my community can make offers to me. And ever since I built it, I put it into my link in my bio, and people are sending me offers for keynotes, consultations, sit downs. And the offer works to where I built out the whole thing. I didn't have to ask nobody for nothing. I just sit down, came up with it in my imagination, and said, let me make it.
Hmm.
And after that, I get a text on my phone from my AI and it tells me this is a good offer, that's a bad offer, that's below your value. I think this one would be good and why. Then I can
Mhm.
click text to accept or I can reject or I can tell somebody to counter that. And then it sends them an email because I learned how to set up a resend API. Like I've been sitting down just learning and executing and building. And this is a great era for people that had ADHD, that may be a little bit neurodivergent, because you're good at coming up with ideas, but it'd be hard to execute. Now you have the AI to do the things around your mind, right? So you just need to be the idea person, but then sit down with the AI, let it build because execution has now become democratized.
Yeah, you know, as you were talking the whole time, I'm thinking like, yo, Keys is making the case why memory is going to be so important in the future. We just had this whole conversation about it, and everything you said, like the brain, well, it has to be stored. Even if you're off the internet, that has to be stored. So when you hear the word stored, it automatically thinks to me, memory, memory, memory. I wonder now, like high level intelligence, artificial intelligence combining, you kind of alluded to it just now. What is a few things that have just blown you away? Like either a prompt that you put out, something maybe daily that you're putting out that came back to you and has just blown you away.
Whoa, whoa.
Ooh, I have
Said it
a
twice.
perfect one for everybody. I actually first started exploring this.
I said a prompt.
Said it twice.
I said a
No,
prompt that has blown you
You
away.
just said it twice though. That was the first time I was gonna let you.
Yo, wow.
This guy's crazy. That's crazy.
All right, so this first came from Rands. I started working in a terminal probably about 2 to 3 years ago, right? Working in a terminal, it was the first thing that started because essentially you are able to have the AI scan your whole computer and is able to then, number one, organize all your files and organize it kinetically to where it's an intelligent order. Like one of the biggest things that I learned from setting up these AIs is it's not the setup, it's the order and the organization in which you set it up. You can have a huge entire system with files everywhere, but if they're not organized correctly, it's going to take somebody forever to go into your brain and find something. It's the same thing with the AI, right? And so when I got the most benefit out of it was I started using AI to organize my life, right? To where everything is connected and it's where it's supposed to be. Right, that's one of the first things you can do when you utilize an AI on your computer is that you can have it organize your files and start organizing your life much better, right? I'm talking specifically utilizing subfolders and markdown files, right? And you should write down subfolders, markdown files to set it up in a hierarchical, intelligent order. If you use that specific prompt, right, it's going to then start organizing it. Ask it to run a forensic audit, right, on your whole entire file system and act as if you are a forensic chairman. You're going to be giving me complete truth, right? No fluff, no guessing, no hype, no invented data, right? If something cannot be confirmed, I need you to explicitly state it, right? All the numbers require logic and source reasoning. The assumptions are labeled as assumptions, compliance and down risk surface early, not late. Like I can go through the whole prompt, but it's a full prompt that gives you where your IP is, right? Your low IP to your high IP. What is your moat, your ownership, control, the optics. We can run patterns against your reputation, right? We do a reputation analysis. We can do an influence analysis to where it even shows you where you rank on how these social media companies rank you based on your influence, why they would let you scale or why they wouldn't, and then how to create a strategy around getting around those things that it can then go flag in your content, right? Like we got a blue ocean enforcement to where you're looking at what is your highest level of strategy, right? What is the current ceiling that you have? What is the net worth and the value of all your IP, your network, your influence, your current data, right? Your business plan, the whole nine, right? And then from there, you start setting it up in your terminal. Then you start creating an end-to-end pipeline. You start setting up a pipeline that goes from idea to market to product to scale to compliance, right? You start setting up a stress test for everything, security test, product design. Like I have a very long prompt that first goes into the system, and then when that's ingested, it then creates a chairman that is essentially become an executive assistant that runs my life. It don't run my life, but it helps extend me to manage my life, and it orchestrates the agents around it. So I did have this one I think everybody should use is my Mansa Musa agent, right? So my Mansa Musa agent is an agent that is just a money-making agent. I don't want to think about making money all the time. I just want to be the idea person. So Mansa Musa makes sure that in everything that I'm doing, he's making sure that he's looking for money, he's looking for opportunities, looking for doing full audits on everything, running that against my data, creating full funnels for me, sending me constant reports every single day, right, on where there is financial leakage in my business and where I can tighten up things. Like that one is like having rich dad, poor dad, but you got rich dad in your ear all the time. You understand me? And it's always helping you audit yourself. So that Mansa Musa one is one that after I get something done, I then send it to Mansa Musa and he sends me a report. And from that report, I'm able to see it from a financial angle. Another thing I set up is something that I call the Kang protocol. I got this from having a long conversation with Idris when he was telling me his use case, right? And I have like a small circle of people that we're going back and forth and sharing information and resources on how we're actually utilizing AI. And one of the most important things was how do you set it up as a thinking partner, right? And what I did was after I set up my second brain vault, I was able to feed 24 agents, right? My current memory, at least what they have access to. And then I gave each one of them a specific identity. And each identity was labeled differently. Like they all get a different degree. One get a degree in marketing, one get a degree in neuroscience, right? One a degree in sociology, philosophy, etc. You name it. So they then go against all of my data and they start debating against it from all different angles. And then they bring me back novel insights. So this is like different versions of myself looking at my ideas, right? And then afterwards, I'm able to reflect on what that actually means. They're able to find patterns in my information over the last 10 years to say that my predictions in AI have came true 95% of the time, right? And that's unheard of. So now I get to find a way to look at myself as a thought leader, as a futurist, and as a consultant and say, now I have a way to actually grade against that, right? And so I think a thinking partner and I think a chairman and an assistant are some of the best things that you can set up in your business right now. But the prompt does matter. And the beauty of what I learned is that each person prompts differently, right? Like I might give a prompt to somebody else and they might add something to it that I did not know, right? And it then extends what your machine can do. So we actually tomorrow we out in LA. We will be on the yacht and just having an AI meetup, and we doing this like week to week. And we do our AI live labs 2 times a week, where we're not just talking to you, we're actually building stuff in front of you. You get the prompts, you get the skills, right, and you get to just make progress in your business. It's the first time where we can guarantee a person is going to make progress, right, by building with us.
Before you get on the yacht, can you drop a link for us to have all those prompts? Because we
Yeah,
all
yeah,
want to
yeah,
master audience. I got you. So
It's
before you
a
leave
code
tonight, is there a way
I
you can
got
give us that amazing prompt?
Yeah, I think the team just texted me. Let me see. Where is going to be the That's what they was texting me. That's what all them pings was about. So in the comments, you can go to 19keys.com/hackathon and it will send you a sign up link so you can get all of those prompts. And if you put it in the comments, there's somebody right now, my sister in the comments, Amechi in the comments, Antoine in the comments, there's somebody to help you as well to make sure you get those links.
Yeah.
You feel me? I promise you, it is a life changer for everybody. Like I was in Ghana and I went to Ghana's AI validation, which is they're in collaboration with the United Nations. AI is trying to become, or Ghana is trying to become the AI hub of Africa. And one of the things they focusing on is data sovereignty. So they start training people up on AI already. But I was talking to a data scientist out there, and he's concerned because you have new government officials utilizing this AI, but they can end up putting something in there that they shouldn't, and then hackers can end up taking that data, right? And so even data sovereignty is not even safe. And one of the issues was the fact that 95% of the cases where somebody's using somebody's likeness to strip them of their image, right, in public, like make a naked version of them, is with a woman rather. So what people are doing is they're taking your legal data, not your protected data, and they're using that against you. I think I talked about it last time. We talked about cognitive sovereignty. And cognitive sovereignty is the most dangerous warfare that there is today. And it's essentially these governments, right, have all built machines and algorithms and AIs in order to manipulate each other's audiences or each other's citizens. And so anything you're doing online right now, you have to remember that we're in a completely different era of the internet. This is the era of the internet where it talks back to you. You're not just talking to another human being, right? And we talked about it. We joked about bots. Well, bots just got a completely different upgrade. And there's papers that show how persuasive bots are because they program them with persuasiveness, right? And so when we're online, they're constantly running psyops, and these are manipulating people, right? And in that manipulation, it's creating fragmentation, and it's getting people to fight against each other online, and they don't realize it, or it's sending you down rabbit holes. There's a model that Facebook dropped called Tribe V2. Now, I downloaded this, and it is a audio visual language model, trimodal. And what it does is it can run content through the AI, and it will show what parts of the brain lights up, right? And this could be even better in some cases than an MRI. And so you have to imagine the average person is, no disrespect, like not that complex and sophisticated. So what they're doing is creating a baseline for how the average human brain will respond to something. So imagine you then run your content through that. You can guarantee it's going to go viral because you know that you're keeping people engaged the whole entire time because you're looking at the parts of the brain that's lit up. So I tested this against my viral content, and it's pretty good. And now I have to imagine the future where everything online is there to manipulate you. You're watching a video and you think it's because you like it the whole time. It's because they ran it through a simulation, and they're not asking you. They're going directly to your brain cells to decide what will work. Like, this is a dangerous world, and we're giving iPads to children and we think they safe. And I'm gonna tell you who gonna be the most cognitively sovereign, where they can actually have independent thinking and creativity. It's gonna be some of the children that come from the poorest places because they don't typically have access to all the tech. It might be children in Africa that never had an iPad, so their brain is not messed up. So by the time they use a computer, they have fresh thoughts and analysis and critical thinking skills, right? And ability to solve problems in different ways. Or even children that are in broadband deserts. Even though I do think that we should be mentoring and teaching young men and women how to utilize AI right now, and not just AI, how to think first before you use it, how to reflect on it after you use it. So you're not just taking in memory and the AI is using it the whole time while you think you're using AI.
Really quick as a follow up, I got a text saying that the link is broken. Do you have an
Oh
updated
yeah, I
link?
just
Because they're
here.
killing me with the asking. Can I get the link for you?
Let me look at my text. I got so many damn things up. So I just seen the upgrade in it. Hold on.
Broke the website.
For real.
What can I? I want to change the world with this, man.
Well, while you doing that, I'll say honestly, like, it was a very educational episode for me. I learned a lot, and anytime we get you on, definitely greatly appreciate it. So
For sure.
before you leave, give us the whole rundown of stuff that you got coming up, and let the audience know your final words. And then, yeah, if you have that, where to direct them. What's your parting words for us this evening?
Yes, sir. The site is 19keys.com/hackathon. Right. So I believe it wasn't published at first when I sent out the link, but it should be working now.
Okay.
First of all, congratulations on a platform with its continuity, right? And having people here on a Monday, long form content, to learn about financial sovereignty, not just generational wealth. Like, how do we become free where money is not even an issue? And I think people are here looking for freedom. They're looking for a way to best utilize their time, right? They're using this as the best way to use their mind. And you're talking about people from behind the walls. You're talking about people from the streets to people in the corporate ladder. There's all sort of different people that watch Market Mondays, right? Because here is a place where you can actually learn. And human to human learning is still the best learning that you're going to ever get, because there's real energy. You can look a human in his eyes and tell that they actually care for another person. You would never be able to do that with an AI. You would never be able to do that with a robot. So I just want to say kudos to you all for having an educational platform that keeps us informed. Secondary, my birthday coming up, and we're going to be doing some meetups in Los Angeles, right? So that same link that you're sending for that hackathon, we built a platform called Zion, and the platform is a nation building platform. The idea came about where it was like, I don't want to be competing for followers on social media. I don't don't want to compete in the algorithm. I don't want to compete for comments, for likes. I don't want to try to get access to 10% of my audience after I built them up for the last 10 years,
Mhm.
right? Anybody that has 1 million followers, like you should have everything you need inside of that 1 million people that you got to follow you. Congratulations, it's an amazing feat, but you don't own that audience. So
At
you
all.
can't count that towards your value. Only things you can count are communication channels that you own, the texts, right? The emails and things of that nature. You putting them into other spaces to where you can download those analytics because Instagram currently don't allow you to get a CSV file on your audience, nor does YouTube, right? You can get comments, but you can't get who this person is. So I say influencers are economies, right? Especially those who are generalists, because they influence more areas of your life. They can influence the way you eat, the way you drink, what stocks that you buy into, right? The things that you wear. So therefore, they can become economies because they're helping you spend your budget. They're
Mhm.
influencing where your money goes. And if you are somebody of great influence, you have an economic influential power that could be worth billions of dollars, but can you organize that influence to an infrastructure? Right. And so when we start asking that question, it's like, I did not know who were my top supporters were, but what if I could put them all into one place and I could talk to them all the time? Not just on text, not just on email, but in my own platform. Right. So now I want to see what assets that exist in my audience. When I travel around the world, I got to go on Twitter, make a
Mhm.
post because it's the best formats, then post that onto Instagram and ask who's in the city. Who got a barber? Who got a tattoo artist? Who got this? Then people respond inside my DM. But would it be better to just have my own platform to where I can automatically just organize things with the community? I can have them vote on what they want to actually see. They can send me offers of things they want me to make and we can collaborate. So we built out a digital nation platform called Zion, which allow creators to build their own nation. You can see how much it's worth, right? You can see how much of your audience that you actually own, how much of them are just supporters, how much of them are actual real family and fans based on the lifetime value of that audience. And so I believe that this is the future to where we're essentially creating a digital city that one day, right, becomes almost a physical city. Because I didn't want a social media network, I wanted a nation network. We don't
Mm.
own Substack. By we, you know who I'm talking about. You understand me? We get every day you go on social media and you talk bad about somebody, but you have to then look in the mirror and say, are they worse than the person that owns this platform?
Mm.
That's up to you to make that decision, right? Depending on how your ethics are actually aligned. But I wanted a platform to where we can actually own the network. We can actually organize influence. The culture don't have to ask, how can we do something? We can just vote on it and then execute it in real time. So that's what Zion is. We have high level society, and I'm actually making what we call a passport. It gives you access inside of the platform. And what we decided to do yesterday after I gapped all my data is I can take the first 10,000 people, my top people that's been supporting me over all the years, and then we just making a profile for you, and then we giving you access to that, and then you get discount rates into membership, and we're doing live events, investment clubs, a whole bunch of different stuff. It's fly. So be a part of that. Um, but beyond that, man, I just want to say the biggest thing that's in danger today, is your ability to critically think. After we get past all this money talk, after we get past all this capital, you understand me? There's always another product to market and things of that nature. But anytime I get in front of God's people, I got to give them God's message. You feel me? And your ability to be able to think for yourself, to save yourself, you understand me? I think is key, right? Like that, the things that are happening with these wars and not knowing whether food is going to be able to come to America shows you how vulnerable we are as a people
Mhm.
without having any vertical integration, right? Our disconnection from family that we have today because we're so fragmented and caught up in our processes. But if any one of them die, it would be the most important thing in your life. But the day before, you didn't even think about them,
Mhm.
right? We have to get to a place to where family means something again. Because otherwise, who are we building this for? For another day to survive, all right? Another day to pay a bill, right? Or are we focused on quality of living? I know my brother Ian go disappear and be with his son somewhere.
For
You
sure.
understand me? He might be with a beautiful woman in the sun too, but that's his business. You understand me? I know Troy go
On
ahead.
God.
They gonna be with their family somewhere,
Mhm.
tucked in, locked in. These brothers and us have been working together for the last about 5-6 years now.
Yeah.
This is the important thing, because if you're by yourself, you're the most vulnerable person in the world. You need a tribe. You need people that you can call upon, because we don't know what tomorrow is going to happen, right? And this is the thing. We talked a lot about the future as we talk about technology and AI. That's not the important thing. The important thing is about our willpower, our imagination. What do we want to see? The AI can do whatever we imagine. So what do we imagine? What do we imagine 2030 will be? 2040 will be, 2050. These family offices, they get together and they plan the next 100 years.
Yes. Currently.
Currently, I'm working with a family office on their culture side. You understand me? And being in these conversations where you're talking about allocation for the next 30 years, looking at these sectors to figure out how they go control them. Where do they put trillions of dollars at, right? Not just tens. And when we think about our spending power, when I'm in Africa, and I know I'm being a little long-winded, but when I'm in Africa and I go around, the main thing they want to get is into the U.S. market. The main thing they want is the U.S. market. Because when we talk about this 1.7 trillion spending power, all they hear is money. They say, wait a minute, y'all are the greatest consumers. So how can we sell something to you? Right? And then they consume our culture, but just not from us directly. We let everybody else middleman it. I think this is the time where you put a moat around a culture. I was talking to my brother Keenan Beasley about this. Nobody should get access to the culture unless they go into the culture directly. You understand me? I should not go to another country and they have their whole entire club wrapped in Black American culture, but a Black American don't own it.
Don't benefit from it. Yep.
I mean, so we have valuable things, but they want to make us feel like it's not valuable. Oh, y'all, what do y'all got? Dance and y'all got fashion? Yes, we do. And it's worth trillions of dollars. The problem is that we trying to make the things that actually make us the most valuable. Everybody else try to use that as our insecurity when it's not. I think we need to lean into that more. We need to control that more. We need to organize more. We need to be into family more, right? And anybody that has an issue with this platform or any other platform, if you're not willing to help, shut up. Because this is that critical time where people need to be focused on how do I build with my family and how do I recognize who is my family and how do I protect my mind so that while my child is being brought up in this world, I can still recognize them when they're an adult. Like these things are the most important. All these other things that we're doing, these are important as well because economically we need to be at the highest level. And there's no reason that we shouldn't. But if you don't have your mind right, if your consciousness is not in tune, if your frequency is not on the right channel, right, then nothing that we tell you will matter. It's going to go out of one ear into the next, and you're going to be back trying to figure out how do you get entertainment for Market Monday, right? Versus how do you actually take the education and put it into implementation? Because a well-working mind executes. So I'm done being long-winded. I just wanted to say that was on my thoughts. That was on my mind.
There you have it. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen.
One of the greatest ever do it.
One of the great orators of our generation. 19 keys. Always a pleasure, man. Very, very, very educational, motivational at the same time.
Yeah, I'll be so excited. I don't even be getting a chance to go through it. I'll be having a whole list of, let me explain this simple this time. And my mind end up going.
Man,
that's a passion talking.
That's a sharp mind. That man said, I'm long-winded and went 20 minutes after that. Keys, you are incomparable. For everybody, May 4th is his birthday. I'm usually the first person to call him. So I want y'all to wish him a happy birthday in advance. He's a tourist. Keys, you know it's on the calendar, my brother. I'm always the first one to call you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I appreciate y'all brothers, man. Love y'all brothers. Peace.
Appreciate you too. Love you dearly, my guy.
/hackathon or go to asupermind.com to get some of this sip on I got going on.
Supermind.
Supermind coffee. All right, my brother.
That was a lot of game.
Pleasure.
I'm trying to write the notes as he's saying it, and then he said something else. I'm trying to write the notes, and I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm
I
trying
gotta
to
send that
Google
text
it.
off.
I'm like,
Yep.
Man,
I'm just have to call him. I gotta call him.
y'all gonna have to watch that episode at least 3 times, man. That was extremely insightful. This is gonna be a heavy week all across the board. We just had this episode, which is crazy. Blackout. We got Dr. Yaki. That's gonna be crazy. That's gonna go crazy. And then we got Julian Brown on Thursday for Earn Your Leisure. So man, this is the highest level of education possible. Like, this is really, don't take this
At
for
the most
granted, man.
important time. At the most important time.
Don't take this for granted, please. But
Protect keys, man.
a lot. Like I said, please watch this episode at least 3 times. Vitally important. Please watch it 3 times, man. This is very, very, very insightful conversation that he gave a lot of free game.
Claude, OpenClaw, prompts,
Obsidian,
agentic AI, robotics. That's a lot.
Perplexity. Shout out to Top put me on Perplexity a while ago. And also too, for those who want to be in media, knowing when to play good cop, bad cop, and notice when keys speak, giving your guest room to speak just to cook.
Chairman prompts. You are a chairman.
InvestFest, man. This is probably gonna be the most important InvestFest. Man, this is where, and we got a lot of people. We got a lot of important, smart people. A lot of smart people.
It's gonna be off the game for the intellectuals.
Yeah, one of the things he's alluding to it, but the level of efficiency that he's now operating at, you can just tell it has just elevated. Like we talk about it a lot, but like really understanding these prompts and how they're going to help benefit you. That's why the high level intelligence piece mixed with artificial intelligence becomes an assistant. And he's mastered it. He's mastered it. And he's going to, and every day he's learning. Every day he's learning. And getting around people who are also learning at that same rate. Shout out to Rand, shout out to 1500.
Shout out to 1500 or nothing. Love y'all. Y'all family. Let's go.
Shout out to Rand, shout out to the whole community, man. All right, y'all chap in. We got Blackout. We got Earn Your Leisure. We're gonna be in Brooklyn on Wednesday. We got Chicago on Saturday. And yeah, man, you know, y'all give some claps to Mike. It was a very hard episode as far as navigating some technical issues.
We made it.
But he got through it. You know, it's a live show, but
you gotta love
that's
it.
what it's about. That's what it's about. Real in-game adjustments.
For real.
Game
and
time.
Thank y'all for tuning in. Yep. Thank y'all for tuning in.
Thank y'all for tuning in.
Loyal listeners. I love y'all so much.
Thank y'all for executing. That's important, man. Like you said, information will be on us, execution will be on y'all. A well-mind executes on information, so make sure y'all have a mind as well.
Troy's options class is Thursday.
That's a fact.
7:00 Eastern Standard Time. EYL University. Oh man, amazing options community, amazing community. Period. All right, guys, it's been real.
Real quick. Stock club prices will be out Wednesday at 9 p.m. Central. I just want to let y'all know that Wednesday at 9 p.m. Central, stock club prices will be out in Kajabi.
Yeah, we also Thursday, Netflix will be reporting. I think TSM is reporting before the opening on Thursday. And obviously all the banks. We saw Goldman report earlier today. So it's a big week. It's that time of earnings season again.
Tune in to
Nike. It's still time to hit my line if y'all want to get the restructuring right.
Downgraded again today.
Tune in to Market Mondays After Dark if you want to hear our story about Nas and Busta and Dr. Dre and AZ, all that hip hop. Tap in. All right, y'all. Peace.